Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, Very Juicy Sweet Dishes. And if this is your first time, please hit that like button and also that bell right beside. And to all my returning viewers, welcome back. And to everyone, all positive vibes. Well, today I will be making some steak fajita crunch balls. Let me show you how. Let's begin. So I'm going to use 1 onion, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the outer layer from this onion, and then I'm going to slice it. So once I remove the outer roll, I'm going to just go ahead and thinly slice this onion. So I tried to slice it as thinly as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and set this to the side. So once I slice my onions as thinly as I can get them, I'm going to go ahead and dice these onions into smaller pieces. So once I've cut my onion into fine pieces, I'm going to put it to the side. I'm going to take a bell pepper. I just rinsed the bell pepper off before I began slicing it. And I'm going to also slice this into fine pieces. Then I'm going to remove the center of the bell pepper and discard it. So once I finish dicing up my green pepper, I'm going to also set this to the side. So I'm going to take about 1 tablespoon of some unsalted butter, and I'm going to melt it in my pot under a medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and add about 15 ounces of whole kernel corn. Next, I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of Dash original seasoning. This here is optional. Next, I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of some dry cilantro. I'm going to also add about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And then I'm going to give this a stir. And then I'm going to cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes. Once my corn is ready, I'm going to take it and I'm going to set it to the side. So I'm going to use about 1 pound of some thin cut steaks, or you can use a flank steak for this recipe. So I washed and cleaned about 1 pound of thin cut steak. So I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Next, I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon of cumin. Then I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon of some chili powder. Then I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of some black pepper. I'm going to also add 1 teaspoon, this is optional, of the Samsung Complete Seasoning. Now I'm going to stir everything up. Making sure that all of my meat is evenly coated. So once my meat is evenly coated, I'm going to go ahead and set that to the side. So now I'm going to turn my stove onto a medium heat, and I'm going to go ahead and add my steak, and I'm going to cook it for about 3 minutes per side. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and let it cook on the other side. And then you don't want to cook your steak too long, because you don't want it to lose its moisture or the texture to be rubbery. So you just want to cook it 2 to 3 minutes, or to your desire, whether it's medium or well done. So once my steak is done, I'm going to go ahead and move it to the side. And then I'm going to continue this step until all of my steaks are cooked. So now I'm going to take my steak and I'm going to cut it into little cubes, pieces. Now after I finish cutting up my steak, I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side. So now I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of olive oil to my pan. And then I'm going to let that heat up. So I went ahead and added my onion and my bell pepper to the oil. And I'm going to go ahead and cook this for about 3 to 4 minutes, or until my onions are translucent and the vegetables are tender. I'm going to also add in 1 tablespoon of the minced garlic, or 4. garlic clove mix. And so I'm going to saute this for 2 to 3 minutes or until my vegetables are good and tender. So once my vegetables are soft, I'm going to go ahead and add my steak in here. Next, I'm going to add 1 packet of fajita seasoning. Next, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of water. And I'm going to stir everything up until that seasoning is evenly distributed. And then I'm going to bring this to a simmer because I want the flavors to meld inside of the meat and the vegetables from the fajita seasoning. So now that my fajita crunch ball filling is ready, I'm going to go ahead and take it off the stove and I'm going to move it to the side. So with this step, I'm going to be taking my tortilla shell and I'm going to be spreading some Velveeta cheese across the entire tortilla. However, you can use any kind of cheese spread that you desire. I'm going to take some of that Velveeta cheese sauce and I'm just going to squeeze some on the top of my flour tortilla. And I want to spread it all the way over. The purpose for the cheese sauce is that it holds the chip into place while we're building our steak bomb. So next I'm going to take one of the tortilla corn chips. I'm going to take about 4 of them. And I'm going to line it up on top. And the tortilla scoops are best for filling. So after my flour tortilla. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half. While my chip is sitting on there so I can visualize how big I want my slices. So I'm going to cut it in half. So now I'm going to add some Monterey Jack cheese. And what I want to do is I want to place this cheese in the bottom. Just a pinch of each chip. So next, I'm going to go ahead and just add a few pieces of my corn on the inside. So next, I'm going to go ahead and add my steak on the top. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. So once I filled all of my chips up, I'm going to like gently fold the soft tortilla around the chip. It may and it may not stay, but that's okay. So next, what I'm going to go ahead and do is line a baking sheet up with some parchment paper. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my chips up onto the parchment paper. So once I've lined all of my steak bombs up on my baking sheet, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just sprinkle some Mexican blend, some Mexican cheese blend on top. So now I'm going to go ahead and place this in my preheated oven, and I'm going to bake this for about 5 to 7 minutes or until this cheese is nice and bubbly on the top. All right, let's check on our buns. They look about ready. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Don't forget to hit that like button and also share the video. Again, everyone, thank you for tuning in to my channel, Very Juicy Sweet Dishes. Well, bye for now.